What's up, world? This is Salim with Flip for Figs, and today we'll be taking a look at some Bring Art's Final Fantasy VII figures. I got Zack Fair, and then we have Rufus, Rude, Reno, Tseng, and Elena from the Turks. Let's do it.
Flip for Figs.
When I flip, you flip, we flip.
Alrighty, just got all of them out of the box, so now we'll take a look at what each of them come with. Alrighty, starting with Zack, he comes with his Buster Sword, some gripping hands, some open palm hands, as well as these switch out arms where they're crossed. Here he is holding the Buster Sword up, and I gotta say, this figure is really strong. I feel like it's a lot sturdier and more detailed than the Cloud figure was. And then there he is with his arms folded, which is how I'm gonna keep him posed in my collection. I think it just looks really cool, and I'm glad they included these extra arms. With Reno, you get his staff, you get some open palm hands, some closed hand, like gripping hands, and then you also get this swap out jacket here, and that's to be able to achieve the look with the hand in the pocket. All right, Reno is also a cool figure. I've always loved him just because I really like the color red and his hair is red. And so he's pretty fun to pose and also a sturdy figure. And there he is with his hand in the pocket. I really love that you can achieve this look and that they included all of the pieces you need to do so. And swapping them out, I had no issues putting everything back. All right, with Tseng, he comes with his cell phone, which I guess is really his only weapon. And then this swap out tail piece to his jacket, so that way you can pose him with these arms, which are not posable. You just stick them on the body, so you can achieve that the look with his hands behind his back. But in order to do that, you do need to swap out this waist piece right here. So here I have Sung posed with his hand in his pocket, so he does include another waist piece, so you can achieve that look. And I got him holding the cell phone, which is really fun because he was always on his phone. And then here, if you put the standard waist piece back and you swap out the arms, you can have him standing like this with his arms crossed behind his back, which is how he is in the OG artwork. All right, with Rufus, you get his shotgun, and then you get very limited amount of hands, like a pointing hand, an open palm one, and then a couple other like open palm ones, and then his gripping hands are just the ones that come attached here. And then you also get this piece, which is part jacket and part like cuff, so you could see that it just hooks into his wrist peg, so that way you can achieve that look with a hand in the pocket. And then there's Rufus holding his shotgun with his hands kind of flared out in one of his sassy poses. I feel like Rufus was always extra sassy and talking smack. And then here he is in his classic OG pose with his hand in his pocket. So you actually have to remove not only the wrist joint, but the forearm to be able to pop his arm in the pocket. And here's Rude, another Turk with no weapons. And so he comes with just a couple of, his fists, since that's how he fought. And then you get some like gesturing fingers and some open palms. And then he too comes with an alternative swap out like waist piece for his jacket. So that way you can achieve that look with the hand in the pocket. Rude is not as fun to pose just because there's not a whole lot going on. There's no weapons or anything like that. On top of that, this figure is one of the more fragile ones. I was able to get his hand in his pocket just to kind of mimic that OG artwork, but the opposite arm actually fell out of the socket as soon as I pulled it out of the box. And with Elena, you just get a bunch of hands. So you get some open palm ones, some fighting fists, some gesturing ones, and that's pretty much it. Like Rude, Elena is not very exciting to pose. Again, no accessories. And unlike Rude, there's no option to kind of, swap out waist pieces or put arms in the pocket. They do have her standing in the artwork with her hand behind her back. And so apparently you're just supposed to stick it there, which I guess is correct because women don't often have pockets in their pants. And then here they are in that classic OG artwork pose. And I gotta say, I'm just so happy. I was a little nervous that it would be hard to kind of get them in those poses, especially because the main cast was really difficult getting them into the poses that is in the box art and the promo pics. But these ones, they really do allow you to get them posed up the way they are in the promo photos. So I really enjoyed that. Alrighty, folks. And so if you watched my last Final Fantasy VII Bring Arts video, you knew that as much as I love the game and the character designs, and as happy as I was to have the entire main cast, I was really disappointed with the quality of the figures, the lack of accessories, and just the fact that they didn't hold up well. It was hard to pose them, and for the price, you weren't getting a ton of value. And while a lot of that is still true with these figures, I do have to say I really, really am happy with them. They're still obviously expensive, especially when you look at one like Elena with very little accessories. She's a lot shorter than the rest. And the fact that this is a figure that retails for over 120 US dollars, it doesn't feel like, it's worth it by any means. But having them all here together and posing them in that kind of original OG artwork style pose is just incredible to me, and I definitely feel like it's worth the money to have them all together. It took seeing the photo of these figures together and seeing like, wow, Square Enix was actually going to make all of the Turks as well. That's when I pulled the trigger and I finally decided to jump into the Bring Arts line of the Final Fantasy VII figures, because I had already invested in the Play Arts Kai line, and I thought, do I really need the Bring Arts figures? And, as much as I was excited about the OG artwork and the full cast, it was seeing the Turks that really sealed the deal for me. Zack, not as much, mainly because Zack never had original artwork like the Turks did, and then obviously the main cast did. And I think a few other characters, like maybe, President Shinra, had some official artwork, like this OG style artwork, but Zack never did actually. So they only had the in-game model to work with. And so for that reason, I wasn't too worried about getting Zack. Obviously, now that I have him, he's a great figure and he's one of the strongest of all the Bring Arts line. I know Zack is a really popular character. For me personally, he's never been a huge popular character. I think because as a kid, the whole idea of Zack and the whole story kind of confused me. And even now, having played the original game so many times and remakes several times, I still feel like I couldn't confidently tell somebody who Zack was and how he fits in the story. I don't know why. But yeah, needless to say, Zack is a great figure. The Turks are great figures. And, again, the quality seems to be a lot stronger. I think that, Square Enix took the feedback that they were probably getting to heart. A lot of maybe canceled orders, a lot of, negative feedback about how the figures had joints falling out. And while a lot of that is true with the main cast, I do think that Sid and Vincent and, Ketsith are stronger than the previous ones. So I think the quality has gotten better, and that's definitely true with these figures. And what's funny is I actually messed with these figures a lot more than I did with the original cast, and that's because I wanted to achieve those, the poses of the OG artwork, and you have to swap out a lot of the waist pieces and arms and stuff to do that. And all of them held up pretty well except for Rude. Rude is actually the only one that I felt, it reminded me, it gave me like PTSD from the main cast where I had some issues there. His arm kept falling out, and it was trouble trying to get him to stand. But other than that, I think the figures are actually really well done. The fact that Square Enix actually included all of those swap out like jacket pieces so you can put their hands in their pockets and stuff like that, I think is a really nice touch, because with the main cast, they gave you slim pickings. I mean, you just got some extra hands and that's it. And something that Square Enix is doing now is they're releasing a new Cloud with the Buster, or not the Buster Sword, with the Hard Edge Sword. And they're also releasing Tifa with, I think, like different Knuckles. That to me is ridiculous. I mean, the figures are so expensive, they really should come with alternative weapons. But, I just hope they don't do that with the rest of the cast. Like, if they start re-releasing every one of the characters with just a different weapon, I think that'll be ridiculous. But as it stands, I'm really happy with these figures right here. If you had told childhood me that not only would I eventually have the entire Final Fantasy VII main cast in the same scale, but I'd also have the Turks, I wouldn't have believed you. And that's because for almost 2 decades, Square kept giving us incomplete lines. So the fact that they went from that to giving us not only the entire main cast, but also all of the Turks is really incredible. And it'll be interesting to see if they do that with the Play Arts Kai line, because we already have, Rufus, Rude, and Elena, and Reno. So we're only really missing Tseng, and we'll have all of the Turks. And then, we still don't have Yuffie or Sid or Katesith or no, we have Yuffie now, actually. And we just got a Play Arts Shin Vincent Valentine. I don't know how I feel about the Play Arts Shin line. I was originally planning on getting the remake Vincent, but once I saw pictures of the Play Arts Shin Vincent and the way it compares to the Dirge of Cerberus Vincent that I already have, I don't know that I'm rushing out to buy it, but we'll see. The red is a lot more vivid with the remake one, and I do like that more red as opposed to the Dirge of Cerberus Vincent, which has kind of that deeper red. So we'll see. I mean, if they announce Sid and Katesith, then yes, I will definitely get Vincent too. So I'll have the entire remake line as well. But like I said, it's just really incredible that Square actually completed not only the main cast, but gave us the Turks as well as Zack too. So with that in mind, I can really recommend. I mean, the last video I made, I couldn't recommend those figures unless you were like me and just a huge fan of Final Fantasy VII and you plan to just look but not touch. With these figures, I feel like you can actually use them more as action figures. You could get in some more poses. Granted, the Turks, they're all wearing suits, so their outfits are not that exciting or intricate. But, with Rufus, he's got a very, Japanese anime style outfit. And to translate that into an action figure form is challenging. And they did a great job. Like, the jacket moves in a lot of places. And the fact that you can swap out the waist piece to be able to put his hand in his pocket is really cool. And I really do appreciate it. And, I think if the quality and the level of accessories that you got here was present in the main cast, I think the main cast would have gotten a lot better reception. I'm sure they still sold really well. I know that there's many like me who are just obsessed with Final Fantasy VII and love having the whole cast together. But yeah, with that said, I would have had this review done sooner, but the tariffs on Japan kind of threw a wrench in my plans in the summertime, and there was about 2 months where I couldn't even order from Hobby Link Japan, which is where I got these figures from. Shout out to them, by the way. They do, pretty good fast shipping, as well as I feel like their prices are pretty reasonable, especially when you compare it to like Big Bad Toy Store and some domestic options. So if you're looking at picking these figures up, you can check Hobby Link Japan. You can also check Solaris. Those are a couple websites that I order from. And I think they may still be available for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store as well if you're here in the US and looking for just, something domestic. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy to have these figures. I'm going to pop them into the display cabinet and see how they look with the rest of the main cast. But I would actually really encourage you to go out and get them. I mean, I know that it's expensive, right? I mean, each of these figures is over $120 after tax and shipping, if not more. And so the entire line is going to run you quite a bit of money. In fact, it hurts my soul thinking about how much I spent to have this entire line. But now that I have them, I'm super happy I do. And so yeah, I hope you get them and you're able to enjoy them as much as I did. Alrighty, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I periodically release Final Fantasy content. I have a couple other Final Fantasy videos. I've reviewed the main cast of Final Fantasy VII in Bring Arts form, as well as the Final Fantasy IX cast, and also the Polygon figures, and there will definitely be more Square Enix reviews coming soon. So if you like this video and others like it, please like and subscribe, because I'd love to have you as part of the Flip for Figs universe. And until then, I'll see you next time.
When I flip, you flip, we flip.